Bitch, what the fuck are you doing spending $300 on groceries? You know you can't afford that. Time to re-budget your shit again. How much would I get if I donated plasma? What even is plasma? Okay, no. If I cut down my entertainment budget to $0 and only eat out once next month, I should buy myself more time. Okay, clean up this house. Complete ponies. 1 second, honey, I'm having an existential crisis. I don't know what that means, but Twilight Sparkles will make you feel better. Twilight Sparkles ain't got bills due, honey. Okay. I fucked up another audition. That was my ticket out of poverty for a second, and my stamp of approval that I needed, and I screwed it up. All I needed to do was to focus. I'm not working hard enough. I'm not good enough. This is hard. Wow, Ari. You look beautiful today. Thank you, Talia. You always know what to say to make me feel better and to put a smile on my face. I love you, my Ari. I love you too, Talia. Can we wrestle? I've been patient. Okay. Ask Daddy to wrestle with you, baby. I'm pretty tired. Okay, yeah, I guess I'll do some drawing, maybe journaling. Got a lot of time, gotta fill it with something.
What you doing? Oh, I'm just, writing, honey. Ooh, look at the cat I drew. When did you get so good at drawing, Missy? I want to be an artist. Me too, baby. Me too. How about we draw something together and we can both be artists now? I can't wait to see what you and your little friends create for this world. You know we need it. We need y'all. Thank you for your precious light. Thank you for waking up my child's sense of wonder. Thank you for your giggles. Thank you for inspiring my little artist. Thank you for giving me a reason to wake up each day. Thank you, my little champ. Okay. Can we go to the park now? And can I have a lollipop? And then some cuddles and some wrestles? Yes, baby. Yes, we can.
When I was 15, I got locked in a high school theater boys' dressing room closet. It wasn't really even my first choice to be in that closet. I was sent in there by my crazy drama teacher to get extra suspenders or bow ties or something. I don't know. It was 6 years ago, and even my eidetic memory has its limits. Suffice it to say, I was not where I wanted to be in the first place. But this bitch, Vanessa, decided that I was threatening to her because we were both sopranos, and maybe she thought she could just do me in and I'd waste away and die in the closet until somebody thought, hey, what's that smell? The worst part was Vanessa and I were friends. She'd actually called me her best friend on more than one occasion, and I wasn't really the type to get called a best friend by anybody. So when this really cool girl who had been the lead our freshman year called me, I went. I don't even think I was that into being cool. It was more that I had no reason not to trust Vanessa. I was all of 15 and had, never been hurt by a person. My first ex had yet to cheat on me with somewhere in the range of 3 to 6 different women, depending on who you ask. My closest friend from middle school had yet to try and steal my entire identity. I never knew that there was anything not to trust because my whole life had been sunshine and rainbows and everything was always okay. This was the first time someone I thought had my back had stabbed me in it. I mean, metaphorically speaking, all she really did was lock me in a closet. Although there probably were several prop knives in there if she'd wanted to do anything gruesome. I guess this messed me up more than I thought it did, looking back. After that, I started trying to be just as much of a bitch as the rest of my classmates, and it took me a long time to unlearn that horrific attempt at a social mask. If I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that it doesn't actually matter if someone calls themselves your best friend. It matters if they act like one. Actions speak louder than words and all that. But 15-year-old me didn't have the infinite wisdom of my 21-year-old self. She was just hurting. So thanks, Vanessa, for the trust issues.
I don't think I was a diehard Sophie fan until after she passed. The timing wasn't great. I remember you texted me as I was falling asleep that she was in critical condition and rumors were going around about it, and I just remember waking up the next morning and forgetting everything and about how much adrenaline I was on until I came across my Apple News feed, of all places, which led me to YouTube comment sections and Discords and subreddits, where everyone else knew too, so everyone was mourning how much she changed their lives with her music. And it made me realize the impact that she had while she was still here. I don't think I listened to her album all the way through until then. Everything on it is a banger, but once I realized that it was all about queer celebration, it became the best thing ever. I was listening to it thinking that she was just trying to empower people, but really, it was a love letter to herself. And I realized that oil of every pearls on insides sounds like I love every person's insides. I was a couple months into exploring my identity, and when she passed, and it was almost like she was telling me, here, listen to this, it'll help. It's kind of funny though, because I'm remembering how much of a baby queer I was and how oblivious I was. But I'm also realizing that my experience has been kind of similar to hers, And I think that's really helping me affirm my decision to embrace who I am. I'm still trying to figure out my identity. My journey is so far from over, but Sophie helped me cope with the voices in my head and tell me what I actually needed to hear. I could be anything I want. And if it gets tough, I know it's okay to cry.
During quarantine, I saw so many Instagram posts saying, show up for your best self today, or tomorrow can be a new day. But it always felt so contrived reading it from my bed that I was still in at 3 p.m. Which of course it was. They're just posts made to get likes and comments and for people to say, that's relatable. And yet I was craving that feeling that they were talking about, that faith, to believe that life would improve, that it would go on. Wrapped in my sheets, scrolling through vile politics and COVID updates, it all felt so distant and yet incredibly immediate. Like the whole world was falling on my shoulders and taking up the space in my brain. And I was supposed to feel comforted in my childhood bedroom with both my parents downstairs. But all I could feel was the world collapsing. And if someone were to look at me, all they'd see would be a girl lying in her bed scrolling through her phone. And yet inside, my brain was going a mile a minute with these anxious thoughts and an accelerated heart rate and unable to get out of bed. And yet there was so much to do. So much to do that I couldn't possibly get out of bed. So why try? Might as well bask in the disappointment in myself. Such a simple thing, getting out of bed. And yet, for me, it was an impossible task. I couldn't find the point in anything. I kept asking why. I was trying to understand human beings from afar and trying to gauge how others were dealing with the pandemic. And I armed myself with articles and facts to keep myself from going crazy. And now I feel so thankful that I can finally hug my friends and go in public without feeling uncomfortable or nervous about anything, and after such a long year. Navigating being back into being around people, I'm excited to finally get these bouts of inspiration from being around the others around me and to overhear snippets of conversations not meant for my ears. The why has been answered to some extent, and I believe that a lot of my why has to do with others, the people around me, the human condition. And after a year and a half of numbness, I'm finally starting to rediscover the spark.
Oh, sweet bagels, how I miss your thickness. I've become such a snob, and it's all your fault. Yeah, I've tried LA bagels, but nothing hits the spot. I also can't get Taylor ham, egg, and cheese out here. What the fuck? I miss when my parents would wake me up to bagels in the morning. What a treat. I also miss getting Taylor ham, egg, and cheese on my way to high school. Eating it in class made me feel really cool because I knew everyone was jealous. I know that there are some decent, emphasis on decent spots in LA. I brought back 12 bagels for my last trip home in December. And when I got back, I had a quarantine. So I couldn't give anyone my bagels. All that yeast to waste. Those bagels are just stretchy and fluffy. I also miss bagels and lox. I mean, I can get it here in LA, but it's tiny. And I need my Jersey size. I miss New Jersey food. It's so heartwarming and filled with love. Bagel, bagel, bagel.
I want you, and I miss you. Everything bagel, sesame seed bagel. Oh, how I love you. Bagel, bagel, bagel. Nothing rhymes with bagel. Bagel, bagel, bagel. I'll tell you a fable. That poem was questionable, but my love for you is not.
I used to be an athlete. And by athlete, I mean someone who did sports. And I wasn't particularly good or bad, but I did a lot of them. Soccer, gymnastics, swimming, tennis, basketball, and probably another one that I can't remember. But what I do remember is starting in middle school, I started to worry about how I looked because I wasn't as seemingly as small as all the other girls were around me. So I instinctually did things to hide my body and to try and trick others into thinking I was smaller than I actually was. So I would take a hair tie and I would tie my jersey to the side or to the back so it wouldn't make me look like a tent. And yeah, it was kind of sort of the fashionable thing to do-ish, but I did it really because it made me feel a little bit smaller and a little bit thinner. I would also cross my legs a ton because I also thought it would make my legs look thinner, and especially around Donovan, soccer star of my class, my grade, and probably my whole school. There are a lot of Donovans who I've shrunk myself for or attempted to. And once I stopped doing sports, I was left on my own to figure out how to condition my body with no set practices or drills. I had nothing, so I stopped doing anything. I didn't know what my body needed from me. I didn't know what I needed from my body. So I started to wonder, who was I doing this all for? I had blurred the line between wanting to be seen as beautiful and being so small I could hardly be seen at all. And people think it's hard to stop caring about what other people think of your body, and yeah, it's hard. But sometimes I honestly think it's harder to just look and see who you are and how you look on any given day and like what you see. Now I'm working towards the point where I can just be comfortable and confident just because. And it's a limbo reality. And I don't think anyone actually finishes or reaches that final point. But you wake up every day and you choose a balance, some sort of balance. And I don't regret doing sports. It taught me confidence and tenacity, and it gave me so many bruises. But more importantly, it made me realize and appreciate what my body can do. But with the impossible beauty standards and the painful comments and just growing up, like, that's still all the bullshit that coexists in all of this. And it hurts. But there is so much good in the world and in myself.
I'm obsessively drawing and redrawing myself. Sometimes I don't like what I see, or it's not what I expect. Social, anti-social, bold, shy, authentic, whimsical, weak, powerful. I can change a lot on any given day. And that can make me feel super out of control. And I literally cannot tell you how long I have fought to regain control. I wear tiger's eyes for bravery, silver and sapphires for eloquence, and Venezuelan gold for power. I pant like a dog for 10 seconds to release my diaphragm and wag my tongue and massage out my clenched jaw before I hang out with friends to rid myself of weakness and invite confidence. I literally lower my voice and stand up taller around men. I have turned to every single tool and I have begged it to work for me. And surprise, surprise, it has failed me every time. I used to think that strength was something I had to invoke, but when the world faded away last year and I had less of an audience to play tricks on, I fell inside myself, and in that black hole, I found company. Me. Versions of me. I'm falling in love with a lovesick painter who obsessively carves out the likenesses of his favorite few. A young and hopeful dancer who dreams in beats and choreography. An insatiable shapeshifter who still can't decide on their favorite form. I've met these personalities, and yes, I am constantly drawing and redrawing myself, but it's not to scramble for power. It's to discover a beauty, a complexity that I've always carried. Duality in progress.
Growing up, my parents always taught me the importance of independence, self-sufficiency, and determination. And while I love getting to lean on myself and the knowledge that I've accumulated through the years, I've come to realize that sometimes just me isn't enough. And don't worry, that's not a knock on myself or me doubting myself. Because trust me, I know those moods and this ain't it. But it's more of a realization of the ways that the world works and me understanding that I can't do it all by myself. Now, I realize this thanks to my college best friends and roommates. We called ourselves the Scrappy Boys. It was a silly name, sure, but it was no way created to mean something so serious, and I can say without a doubt that this brotherhood has shaped my life and helped me through the times when I felt most alone. I mean, I'd never be the one who'd want to make the plans. I would never pick the music for the car ride or share what had been bothering me or my feelings. I was so fixated with being this perfect man, being correct and being liked, that I couldn't freely share what I wanted to say or do what I wanted to do around my friends or my family. I dug myself deeper and deeper into this hole until I realized that this brotherhood had been there supporting me all along. I mean, they didn't care that I blast barbershop music or my favorite albums from my favorite musicals. They'd laugh at the stupid jokes and puns that I'd make day in and day out. And if I was ever in a show or in a concert, they'd be there to support me. And they know that I'd be there for them too. We didn't have to follow any of these stupid stipulations or rules or confines of being a man, because we could just be ourselves and we knew that we would support one another regardless. I think, most importantly, it taught me to trust. Not just in myself, but in others as well. Trust that someone is there for me. Trust in myself and in my judgment. And trust that though times may be scrappy, which, believe me, they're gonna be, we're gonna make it through together.